Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the Landmarks Preservation Commission's public hearing and public meeting for May 19th, 2026. Before we begin, I'd actually like to say a couple words. I am delighted to announce that Lisa Kersavage will be the new chair of LPC with an official start date tomorrow, May 20th. I have worked closely with Lisa and have been deeply impressed with her strong leadership skills, her ability to work with different stakeholders, and her commitment to preservation. Lisa, like Sarah Carroll before her, has a preservation background and comes from within the LPC agency. Lisa is exactly the thoughtful, solution-oriented leader that we need in our next chapter at LPC as we support the citywide goal of increasing our housing supply and the preservation need for thoughtful and creative adaptive reuse of our designated properties, in particular, the unique challenges of our designated religious properties. Serving as interim chair during this transition has been a meaningful and rewarding experience for me. It has given me a deeper appreciation for LPC's work and for the advocacy groups who care deeply about the city and participate in this hearing process on a regular basis. I want to thank the commissioners for their support. You guys were great and helped me out so much with your technical architectural know-how. There's a lot of camaraderie and mutual respect on this commission. I also want to thank our dedicated staff who are talented, hardworking, and deeply committed to preservation. Thank you for working hard to prep me on the projects before the hearings. Also, a thank you to Janet and Trudy, who helped make sure that things are ready for the commissioners on hearing days. I appreciate your attention to detail on the little things because it really makes a big difference for us. And thanks to Mark, Lisa, and Corey for helping me, someone who didn't know too much going in. Thanks for guiding me through this whole process and for being so supportive. It's been an honor to serve in this capacity as interim chair for the last 9 months. And I want to conclude by saying on behalf of the other commissioners and myself, congratulations, Lisa. We look forward to working with you as the new chair of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Corey Hervala, and let's move to our next hearing item.
Thank you, Vice Chair Master, and I'll add that you did a great job, so thank you. All right, we'll resume our Public Preservation Department public hearing agenda with item number 6. That's LPC 26-08613, an application for an advisory report in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1111, Lot 1, Central Park, the Central Park Scenic Landmark. This is an English Romantic style public park designed in 1857 to 58 by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux. The application is to install signage.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sybil Young with New York City Parks. I'm just going to give a brief introduction to rules and regulation signage within New York City Parks before handing this off to the Central Park Conservancy to present their designs. For rules within New York City Parks, they are all set by New York City Parks as the government agency, and they can only be enforced by NYPD or Parks' own Parks Enforcement Patrol. So really, Central Park is installing these signs at our request. Critical to these rules is that they can only be enforced if there is a reasonable expectation that someone entering the park has been made aware of these rules, which is why you'll see this is driving how many signs there are and why they're at every entrance to the park. We worked closely with the Mayor's Office of Language Access to establish that they would be in 3 languages, English, and then the top 2 languages of the surrounding neighborhoods based on census data. So these have been installed at parks entrances throughout the park system. We've worked very closely with Central Park, as it's essential that they are consistent throughout the park system and that the text is verbatim matching other park signage. Central Park has an agreement with New York City Parks, which allows them to design their signs in their own brand. Parks has reviewed these signs, and we are in full support. So I'm going to turn it over to the Central Park Conservancy, Nick Coster, to walk you through their proposal. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sybil. My click, will this advance? There we go. Great. So yeah, as Sybil mentioned, we're here to present our plan for the consolidated rule signs. In addition to what Sybil mentioned, we're with goals for these signs include meeting ADA requirements for height and visibility, removing obsolete and redundant signs to just address the cumulative effect that will have on the park entries. And we're also striving to ensure that the naturalistic views of the scenic landmark aren't detracted from in how we are locating and deploying the signage. So park signage has always been part of Central Park. We have images here from both 19th and 20th century signs. The 19th century sign, you can see, if you look closely, a sign that says "Keep off the grass." From the 20th century, there are various vintages. Signs were added and developed over time for rules of various landscapes, for the playgrounds as those rolled out, as well as to demarcate different areas within the park or locations. And those signs have been, or the sign branding, excuse me, has been updated to the Central Park standard. So at the playgrounds rules, the the courts, any of these landscapes, they've all been updated to this general signage aesthetic. So within the park, all of the rule signage is a black sign with white text. We use green as a color that's used for typical visitor experience, something that's greeting people. For example, here you see the three-sided signage. This is the location on these signs where the parks rules actually used to be displayed. That was something that had been approved back in the 90s, but those aren't located at every entry. So those have been transformed into wayfinding kiosks for maps to show people how to move through the park. So how that translates to the park's entrances and those signs, we're using 3 different iterations of the same language, as Sybil mentioned, verbatim to what Parks is requesting and using in all of the other parks. We have the 3 typologies that really depend on the type of entry that you're coming into the park, as well as the landscape conditions that are present and how this sign would fit in. So there are 54 unique entrances to Central Park. Those are all marked in black. And as Sybil mentioned, one would need to pass that sign in order for the rules to be enforceable. The green dots, those are showing where the former rules and wayfinding, now just wayfinding signage is located. Those are all the green dots on the 3-sided signs. So within this matrix of 54 signs, we have a lot of different existing conditions. We have entries that have various widths. There are many different material types, be it on the ground plane or the walls. And there are also limitations that the landscape provides. There are many locations where we're able to mount these signs into softscape, but there are some where we're dealing with just hardscape plazas. So we have a strategy for both. And so how those 3 sign types are deployed in the park. Sign type A being the largest of those signs, that's for high traffic entries and large collector spaces for the park. So really think of Central Park North, Central Park South, and a few key entries on the east and west. Sign type B is really more the neighborhood sign. That's at all the playground entrances and some of the smaller entrances or lesser drives that come into the park. Sign type C is used infrequently. This is a sign that we're using just with exception from the Parks Department. It only has 2 languages based on its size and its ability to mount onto existing infrastructure. We're doing that because these are locations where it didn't seem appropriate or feasible to mount into existing hardscape. So now we're just going to quickly walk through how each of those is deployed. This is an example at Central Park North. This is a sign type A at one of the major entries. The signs are typically set inside the gate, perpendicular to the path, and allow for the park goer to come, or excuse me, parallel to the path, allow for the user to come up and stand next to those signs. Usually within a softscape or planted area. This is an example of sign type B down at East 61st Street. Here we have a pipe rail fence, which is pretty common throughout the park with a lawn behind it. The sign is set just to the inside of that pipe rail fence inside the perimeter wall. And a sign type C. This one is up at Duke Ellington Circle. This is a hardscaped space. So here we're using one of the existing poles to use with a non-destructive clamp to mount that to the light fixture. So the makeup of each signs and their frames. So sign type A and sign type B, they are mounted on black posts, metal posts that are embedded into grade. There are 2 legs for both of those. There are some locations where we'd want the same sign to be on the front and the back of the sign. So the two posts gives us that ability to use both sides of the sign for the signage. And everything's black, and the typical installation, as I mentioned, is just mounted into the landscape. We now want to walk through just a few of the more prominent locations of the park, just to give you a flavor of how this deploys. So we're going to start at Columbus Circle and Main Monument and work our way counterclockwise around the park, and hitting on all the 4 corners as well as some key entries. So at Columbus Circle, in order to get into the circle, we're using a sign type A mounted onto a frame. This is the only location where we're doing this unique treatment. Just with the granite walls, we couldn't find a good location for these to mount on. The poles all mount or taper in a reverse direction so that it would just slide off if we were to use those. Moving in and looking at the locations around the main monument, there are 4 entries to the park here. And so as Sybil mentioned, we would need to sign this at each location. So at the smaller of the 2 paths, we're using a sign type B, and the major paths using a sign type A. So just as you pass the gate, locating the sign here in these locations in proximity to existing site furnishings. Sign type A in this location, again, just mounted just inside of the perimeter gate or perimeter of the park, adjacent to the site furnishings. Another example of A, very similar to the previous. And then finally, the last one, a sign type B, again, very similar condition and location. Moving down 59th Street to the east, 2 locations here at 6th Avenue. The first would be located in the landscape behind the pipe rail fence. This is an example of a sign type A. And then the smaller path entrance just in the gate off of the landscape. Moving down to Grand Army North and South. Here, they'll be mounted onto the poles. There are also some signage you can see to be removed. So some banners in locations where there are temporary welcome banners. We'll be moving those to reduce clutter. Again, the sign type C mounted to a pole, which would replace the barricade that you see in the proposed photo. This is at the Arsenal, so there's both a path, or excuse me, stairs and a ramp down to this location. A sign type B located at the bottom of the steps. At the Vanderbilt Gate, this is a location where there are not, it's a step immediately as down into the garden. So we are proposing to use a non-destructive clamp on the side of the gate in this location. Again, moving up to Duke Ellington, this is one that we've seen before, sign type C. Moving into the entry at Pioneers Gate, removing welcome signage and replacing it with the rule signage. Moving around to the final corner, there's a plaza space here at West 106. There's a set of steps that go up, so we'll be using a sign type C on a pole. And then up at Frederick Douglass Circle will be, this is again a hardscape space, so mounting a sign type C on the pole. Great, and so use this as our landing slide and happy to click back to anything that's needed.
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Ginsburg?
Oh, excuse me, the maps those are not part of this, but not being replaced? The wayfinding maps that,
Yes, yeah,
It-
so those formerly had rules on them and we're now just using them for park-wide maps.
but there's remaining.
Those are remaining,
Great,
yes.
thank you.
Commissioner Mayen, did you have a question?
Just a couple questions. Very first example, you showed at this.
Sure, the Columbus Circle example. We have you enter off of the crosswalk and you're immediately confronted with the granite wall. And the poles in this location, they're sort of like a Q-tip, but they're in a reversed or taper. So there's not a non-destructive clamp that we were able to find that could mount onto those. So that's why we're proposing the movable barricade in this location.
They couldn't be behind the granite wall similar to fence.
I think in order to achieve the proper height, it's a sort of a terrace garden in that location.
This is just within the. So,
Yeah.
full, those lines that kind of flop around wherever, go away.
Yeah, they don't, they stay just due to enforcement with the millions of visitors that the park gets and the number of people who are renting bikes for the day. You just find that the paths are completely overrun with bicycles.
Any other questions, commissioners? I have a question. So in terms of these signs, are they being added to existing signs, or some signs are being removed or replaced, or?
No, these are all new.
So all 52 of these are new, but I thought some of them were being replaced, or?
So the rules had formerly been on those three-sided kiosks. And then other rules that had existed, say for like a playground, there've always been, park rules at a playground entry. Those have already been just replaced with the updated graphic.
Thank you. And my other question is that I know that the wording on all of these signs are the same, but that some of the signs are significantly smaller in size than others. Are they legible, like this in the smaller signs, the rules?
The text is all to the code requirements. So it is legible. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? Okay. Let's go ahead and move to public testimony. We have somebody signed up to speak. Jeremy Woodoff, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeremy Woodall, speaking for the Victorian Society. In 2024, the Commission reviewed similar signs that had been installed in Prospect Park without LPC review. Commissioners expressed the hope that next time, the designs would be more sympathetic to the special character of the scenic landmark. Well, the next time is now, but the proposal is the same. The Parks Department wants these standard signs at every entrance to every park in the city. But Central Park and other scenic landmarks are not standard. They are each unique, and every change must reflect their special character. Olmsted and Vaux meant for visitors to be immersed in a different world the moment they cross the threshold into the park. A whole style of architecture and design was developed, the picturesque and the rustic, forms that seem to grow out of nature. That is why all original park features, including signs, were designed to conform to the park's aesthetic character. Signs such as those proposed conflict with the desired character and break the spell. The proposal provides little useful graphic information to illustrate the huge scale of the signs as they will be encountered by visitors, or to describe their materiality and color. Their blank reverse sides become magnets for graffiti and stickers. The application includes little information on historic park signs, so we provided illustrations in our written testimony. While some smaller signs would be removed, hundreds of signs in the park not shown or mapped in this presentation would remain. This project would add to the burden of excessive signage in the park. Many of the illustrations show new signs that would interfere with views of scenery or would be located adjacent to architectural features such as masonry piers and entrances, blocking and spoiling the scenic views into the park framed by these architectural features. The appendix shows new signs to be attached directly to masonry structures in the park, incredibly including the soft and fragile stone at Bethesda Terrace. This should not be allowed to happen. And a sign should not be affixed to the ornate Vanderbilt Gate at East 106th Street. We question the utility of installing these large signs with huge amounts of small print at every entrance. Will people stop to read them? Unlikely. Will they contribute to enforcement of the rules? Doubtful. Parks and the Conservancy must come up with better ways to address information transmittal and rule enforcement than installing more signs of inappropriate design in inappropriate locations. Scan through the illustrations provided, and you can see how these signs will drag the visually chaotic, messy cityscape further into the park at nearly every entrance. This is contrary to Olmsted and Vaux's vision. Parks and the Conservancy must return with a better plan that addresses the numbers of signs, their sizes, their locations, and their designs. This should happen before the Commission votes and allows the current proposal to go to the Public Design Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth Lee to see if we have any remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Megan Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Commissioners. Megan Fitzpatrick speaking on behalf of Landmark West. Firstly, the Landmark West Certificate of Appropriateness Committee would like to thank the Central Park Conservancy for presenting their proposal to us. We recognize the need for entrance signage, outlining park rules, and commend the effort to encourage greater enforcement of park regulations and hope
Hi,
these—
Megan.
Mhm.
Sorry, 1 second. We were unable to hear you. Do you mind restarting your testimony?
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
My name is Megan Fitzpatrick, and I'm speaking on behalf of Landmark West. Firstly, the Landmark West Certificate of Appropriateness Committee would like to thank the Central Park Conservancy for presenting their proposal to us. We recognize the need for entrance signage outlining park rules and commend the effort to encourage greater enforcement of park regulations and hope these efforts are successful. While we are supportive of the goal of simplifying signage and reducing redundancy throughout the park, we do have several comments regarding the proposed design. In many of the renderings and the mock-up of the proposed signage, the existing green banner is visible. Although these banners function primarily to welcome visitors to the park, their appearance is considerably more pleasant and harmonious with the park and the proposed black and white signage. Additionally, green signage is standard across all NYC parks and immediately signals both place and function to visitors. We encourage the use of green either across the entirety of the sign or as a dominant design element in order to maintain consistency with park signage citywide. Our committee believes the legibility of the text should also be reconsidered. We would like to know whether the text fully meets ADA requirements and encourages the team to explore opportunities for larger text or reduce content to improve readability. In addition, the Type B signs would be less visibly intrusive if mounted with a single support post rather than the proposed two-post configuration. And finally, the movable signs near Columbus Circle should be reconsidered. Their placement appears awkward and visually intrusive within the landscape, and the signage itself may be redundant given the location and the broader signage program proposed throughout the park. Overall, we support this proposal except for a few design interventions. Thank you.
We're having some audio visual difficulties, so we're just going to pause for a second.
All right, the next speaker will be Emma Bartley.
This is Emma Bartley speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. HDC appreciates the effort to consolidate park rules and reduce miscellaneous signage clutter throughout Central Park. We have two concerns regarding the current proposal. First, we believe the design of the signs could better recall Central Park's historic signage. Central Park was designed to feel distinct from the surrounding city, and its benches, railings, pathways, furnishings, and signage historically supported that picturesque landscape. The proposed signs instead introduce a more contemporary visual language that risks detracting from the park's character. We therefore encourage the applicant to further study historic park signage precedents to more closely align with Olmsted and Box's original design intent. Second, we note that the appendix of the posted presentation includes instances in which signs appear to be mounted directly onto historic masonry within the park, such as at the Bethesda Terrace and Ramble Shed restroom areas. If these mountings involve drilling into historic masonry, we ask that the applicant explore freestanding or other less invasive mounting solutions to preserve this historic fabric. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Zainab Turan.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Master, Commissioners. My name is Zainab Turan, and I'm speaking on behalf of Friends of the Upper East Side. Central Park, one of New York City's largest and most cherished landmarks, was masterfully designed by Olmsted and Vaux as a salutary refuge intended to restore the physical and spiritual well-being of urban residents. It continues to serve as a vital respite from the dense urban environment surrounding it. Friends Preservation Committee strongly supports measures that reinforce this historic vision by reducing visual clutter through the consolidation and reduction of signage. In this regard, we support the proposed consolidated signage hierarchy, and we believe the removal of banners from lampposts represents a significant improvement to the park's visual environment, helping to restore these vistas to a more historically appropriate character. While the understated design and darker palette harmonize with the natural setting, we believe the legibility of the signage would be greatly improved by enlarging the graphic rules and lettering. We have attached a few photos of the mock-up signage at the 76th Street entrance to our written testimony. We also commend the Conservancy's commitment to the ADA accessibility and encourage the continued expansion of these initiatives to ensure the park remains accessible to all New Yorkers. While Friends supports the programmatic goals of this application, we do have concerns regarding the impact of signage installation on historic masonry, particularly at sites such as the Ramble Shed restroom. We strongly urge the Conservancy to adopt a less invasive approach, installation strategy that prioritizes the preservation of historic fabric. Thank you, and also thank you, Vice Chair Master, for your remarkable service.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Being none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 5, 7, 8, and 10 recommend approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to the comments?
I'll try to bucket some of these. I think there were a few overlaps. So I think just in terms of the overall sensitivity around these, we're looking to, in as many locations as possible, use the landscape or the softscape for mounting the signs and having them just inside the perimeter wall. We do recognize that the scenic nature of the landmark and want to be as respectful as possible while meeting the rule requirements. In regard to a couple of comments that came up about the appendix and where we'll be mounting into different stone materials, those installations would all be done in mortar joints, specifically with the Bethesda restrooms and the sandstone. There, by law, we are required to at least have a women's or men's room notation with Braille outside the restroom. So we'll be working with staff here to make sure that we can accommodate that in the most elegant and respectful way possible. In that location, the Parks Department has made an exception that the rule sign for the restroom can actually be mounted just inside of the door on the tile in the corridor before you make your way into the restroom. So that's a way that we're able to really address Bethesda. And then just a few other notes. I think with the color, black, consistently we've rolled out all the rule signs to that color. We feel that it blends in the most with the landscape. We do use green for welcoming, as I mentioned earlier. We also wanted to note that we've removed over 500 signs in the park to date. And so, where opportunities will allow for it even more with this by moving all the rules to the entries, there will be opportunities to remove signage related to dogs and other, minor infractions that show up on temporary fence, et cetera. So, there are quite a few opportunities there. And then with the visuals of them. The density of the signage, it's really a result of the 3 language requirements. If you look at each language on its own, it's actually not a lot of text. It's by needing the 3 of them, I think sort of creates the visual clutter of that, and will ensure that the heights meet ADA regulatory requirements.
Thank you. Those answers were very helpful. Commissioners, do we have any final questions? Commissioner Mahan?
What's on the back of the sign? What color is it?
The back of the signs are black.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Oh, before I forget, I want to note that Commissioner Chu is recused from this item. Commissioner Kumbe, would you make a motion to close the hearing? Thank you. Commissioner Walder, would you second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Mahan, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I think this is a very nice proposal that is an improvement over what's there now. I think the ambition to both make consistent as well as reduce signage clutter are both laudable, and both of those objectives. I think the sign design and color is appropriate and will not detract from important views in the park. I agree that black is the right color to do that. Quality, shade and shadow, and typically see background beyond sign. I appreciate those placed parallel to direction of travel along these pathways. That's not always the case today. I can find this appropriate. I think it's very nicely done.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumbe?
Test.
All right, make this. Overall, I enjoy what has been presented. I believe it's very minimal, and it's cohesive, which is a good thing. I like that it's a lot of the existing, more or less conflicting signage that's present. I guess I just wanted to ensure that the text height was actually at a decent scale. To
Thank you. Commissioner Walder?
Yeah, I think, consolidation.
Thank you. I'm also going to compliment the applicant. Clearly, it's been very well thought through in terms of the placement. And what you're trying to achieve is consistency, and placing it only at the entrances. Hopefully, we can, get rid of other signs within the park. So I applaud you for the simple design. The black color is fine. And, we're really trying to achieve some consistency and standardization. So I can find it appropriate. Commissioner Ginsburg?
In general, I can find it appropriate, and the idea of getting rid of 500 signs and the clutter that entails is very positive.
Thank you, Commissioner Chen.
Yeah, I mean, agreement. Now, this is what the
Thank you. Commissioner Mahan, would you like to read the motion?
I'd be happy to. Matter of LPC 26-08613, Central Park. Central Park Scenic Landmark. An English romantic style public park designed in 1857 to 1850 by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Locks. Application is to install signage. I recommend that a favorable report be issued, finding that the installation of the proposed signs will not damage or eliminate any significant historic, architectural, or landscape features. That the signs provide important site-specific and relevant rules and hours of operation in multiple languages. And that the specific spacing, placement, and size of the signs will correspond to the circulation at the park entrances. The proposed signs will be simply and uniformly designed, well scaled to their locations, and consistent with typical park signage in terms of placement, material, and finishes, thereby helping to provide a coherent informational system without drawing undue attention to the signs. The materials and finishes of the signs, including black finished metal and composite resin panels with modestly scaled contrasting lettering and images, and black painted metal posts, will be harmonious with the surrounding materials and finishes at the entrances. That the work will not obstruct views of prominent vistas or diminish the historic and naturalistic character of the park.
Thank you. And Commissioner Kumbe, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote? Aye.
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 That's been approved. Thank you. Let's move to the next item.
Next item is public hearing item number 7, LPC 26-02329. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1197, Lot 18, 35 West 83rd Street in the Upper West Side, Central Park West Historic District. This is an Italianate-style row house designed by Andrew Spence and built in 1870 to 74. And the application is to modify an opening, alter the stoop, and construct a rooftop addition.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jay Michelle. I am with BCE Architect's Office. This is a Upper West Side roadhouse. We are proposing to reconstruction of the existing stoop railing in masonry. Based on this photo, you could see that the 1940 photo showing the existing step and stoops in masonry. Oh, I'm sorry, not masonry. Uh, no, we couldn't tell that whether it's in masonry or not. It's historically, we believe that it's showing in metal. Just fast forward, showing you the, yep. This is the only picture that we found showing the frontal view of the stoop in showing the detail of the newel post. But by looking at the side view here on the picture on the right, we see that the side railing it's in a shows it is perforated. So we believe that the railing it's in constructed in metal cast iron. By looking at the historical photos, it also shows that the existing garage door is there, and we are also proposed to alter the existing garage door opening. This slide here shows the existing row of the street. And again, we don't really have a clear image of the existing stoop of the rows. Number 35 was constructed, it was one of the 6 row houses on the street that was constructed. Right now, the existing railings is constructed of picket metal railings. And here shows the stoop with the existing picket railings and also the garage door openings. Looking east on the road, you see that the adjacent buildings built around the same time show the existing low railings of the stoop and the stair railings with metal railing on top of it. On this picture, it shows that all the rows on 35 constructed of cast irons and newel posts. And going back and forth here. We have filed some work with Community Board 7. They suggest that we reconstruct the stoop to its historical appearance, but they would like us to construct it to show the newel post with the low saddle wall and the railing on top, like this. So we are proposing to construct the newel post out of cast stone and tint it look like brownstones with metal railing on top, like the image on the right. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. And here's a slide showing the streetscape of the garage door opening with the existing curb cut. And the last item would be propose a rooftop addition. The block plan here shows the existing rooftop addition of the block. There are many houses on the block that already have a rooftop addition. And even our adjacent neighbors have a rooftop additions done already. And the rooftop additions, here's a proposed and existing image of the block plan showing what's already there and what we're proposing. The rooftop addition will be minimal visible from the primary facade. And here are the existing floor plans and proposed floor plans of the rooftop addition. Okay.
Okay, and thank you. So the proposal is to reconstruct, the applicant went to the community board and the community board asked them to, for various work, some of which is being now addressed at staff level. So apologies for seeing all this. The stoop is being reconstructed. We believe historically it was a cast iron railing and they're reconstructing similar details. The newel posts in cast stone and the stoop railings as solid masonry, stucco clad masonry. They're going to be widening an existing garage door by a little under a foot, actually lowering it, as well as restoring the brownstone of it. And you can see that in the section here. And they're going to be constructing a minimally visible rooftop addition that's minimally visible over the primary facade, excuse me. And just here, we see this is the existing and proposed side by side. And we have a materials cut sheet. The current proposal, Jameis, I'm sorry, it is showing the garage door with the mechanism tucked inside. It's going to be retracting, but it's currently varnished wood. And the addition will be minimally visible with standing seam metal. Isn't it?
That's correct, yes.
This has all been mocked up. That's kind of the-
Are you ready for questions?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Mahan?
Question to staff. Why are we seeing this? What doesn't staff knows?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. The stoop railings are being reconstructed in a material that is not metal. We believe it was metal based on that perforation image, and we're changing the design of the railings. So they're going to be solid to match a neighboring row house that was not part of this original row, but it is nearby. This was of the 6 row houses that were constructed by the same developer architect the same year. This is the most easternmost, and it appears to have always been a little different. The garage door, which is an unusual feature. This was an altered row house at the time of 1940, is being widened slightly, and which does not meet our rules. And you're asked to review the material that the garage door will be replaced with. And you're also looking at right now, I'm sorry, the mocked up visibility of the addition. So it's slightly visible over the rooftop addition, which is not meets our rules.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
I have a few questions. First of all, with the railing at the stoop above the cast stone base, doesn't that have to meet the 4-inch ball rule? And does it? Doesn't look like it does. At which point it's not going to look like what it looks like now, because they're going to need to be vertical pickets or something to narrow those openings.
Thank you for asking that question. So the proposal, and I'm sorry that wasn't clear, and then Jameis, correct me if I'm wrong. If we go to, that still shows the picket activity. The proposal is, I believe, to reconstruct the masonry walls and then put in a handrail above that. So similar to the image that you saw with kind of a low masonry rail and then kind of a handrail above it.
Right, but the gap between the masonry and the handrail seems to be more than 4 inches. And I think the code requires 4 inches.
sorry about that. We are in between Community Board 7, Landmark, and Building Code. We're like struggling. to make-
I understand, but if we approve it, you're going to be coming back when the building department doesn't approve it. My other question is the mechanical screening seems very high. Is that really required? And if it is, could it be moved a bit inboard of the exteriors? Because I presume it's fairly visible from inside the donut.
It is the proposed mechanical unit. It's a very tall unit itself, and it's raised on a tonnage beam on roof. So in order to screen it entirely, so it is quite
Right.
tall, like you
Could
mentioned.
you use a lower unit?
We could consider that if we could find the same unit in similar.
I'd work, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and move to public testimony. We have Jeremy Woodall signed up to speak, please come to the podium.
I'm Jeremy Woodall, speaking again for the Victorian Society, New York. As I believe the applicant said and the tax photos show, the original stoop on this building had large cast iron newel posts, large turned or round cast iron balusters, and heavy cast iron handrails. The photos show that the stair railings did not include solid masonry walls. The fact that other stoops on other buildings nearby, part of a different row, had them really is not relevant to this building. Stylistically and historically, we know what this stoop should look like. Cast iron newels, balusters, and railings of this type were meant to imitate stone. Originally, many were painted with sanded brownstone colored paint. That could provide an interesting opportunity to construct the new railings of cast stone in imitation of the original cast iron. I believe it was stated that the newel posts are to be cast stone. And if the balusters were also made that way, it would eliminate the problem of the 4-inch rule. Regarding the garage door, as we saw on another recent application, removing historic masonry for the convenience of fitting a large vehicle into a garage is not an appropriate plan. Removing the original masonry will further disfigure this brownstone house, altering its proportions for the worse. This aspect of the work should be denied. It appears that the rooftop addition will be minimally visible, and so we think it can be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I'm going to turn over to Elizabeth Lee for remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Megan Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Commissioners. Megan Fitzpatrick speaking on behalf of Landmark West. The Landmark West Certificate of Appropriateness Committee appreciates the applicant's efforts to restore certain historic details to the building. In particular, we appreciate the proposal to restore historic railings and newels at the stoop. However, we encourage the applicant to reconsider the proposed pipe metal handrail placed atop the solid wall. If an additional rail is required for code compliance, it should be designed in an Italianate style that is more compatible with the character of the building. We strongly urge the applicant to revise the proposed garage doors so that they more closely resemble the appearance shown in the 1940s tax photo, which suggests a French door configuration. This garage space originally dates to the 1920s, and our committee appreciates the visual ambiguity created by the French door design and believe it contributes positively to the character of the facade. We discourage the widening of the existing garage door. Additionally, the mock-up studies did not clearly indicate whether the visible portion of the addition is a railing or solid wall condition. Given that portions of the addition will be visible, we suggest that the overall height of the rooftop addition be reduced to lessen its visibility from the public way. Thank you.
The next speaker will be the Historic Districts Council.
This is Emma Bartley speaking on behalf of the Districts Council. HDC finds aspects of this proposal appropriate, including the restoration of the garage lintel and the generally restrained rooftop addition. However, we are concerned by the proposed widening of the garage opening and the proposed stoop railings. The existing garage opening width appears sufficient for contemporary use. Enlarging the opening further would require the unnecessary removal of historic masonry, diminishing the integrity of the building's base. We also question the simplified pipe-style railings, which create an overly modernized appearance that is inconsistent with the stoop's historic character and detailing. We recommend an Italianate style railing to better integrate with the building. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 7 recommends approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to any of the comments? Yes.
Yes, regarding the garage door wiring, um, so right now, the opening, it's too narrow for the car to get in, and we don't have enough clearance on the top for it to install the mechanism for the garage door. Um, yes, we are only widening the door by 10 inches from 8 feet 2 to 9 feet wide. And we um oh, with yes, appreciate that. With the French door, I don't think we have enough room on the driveway to have the door swing open for two 9 foot to 4 foot 6 door to swing out open onto the driveway. And the driveway sloped into the garage. So I'm not sure how is that possible to install. And we can't swing the door inside the garage. After the car is parked, we can possibly open it. Thank you. Yes, regarding the pipe rail, right, regarding that, yes, I agree. But however, if we make it into, yeah, we have to meet code, of course, absolutely. The 4-inch diameter rule. Yes. Somehow we have to come up with a design to incorporate that to look like Italian features. Would that be okay?
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, did you have a question?
Yes. What is the current width of the garage door opening?
8 feet 2.
What?
8 feet 2.
Isn't that wide enough for a car to fit in?
The yes, I understand that currently parking space, typical parking space is 8 feet 6. 8 feet 2, it's a little bit narrow.
And it's tight, but thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Commissioner Chu?
I'm sorry, maybe I missed this. What? Not altered?
Let me go back to the text photos. Commissioner, are you referring to the garage door level?
Elevation.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, that was my drawing.
Like the
Yeah, I'm sure it was originally designed with two
kind of up and down,
altered at some point.
and it was chopped into the header because the new one out of it. Applicant is restoring the header.
Yes, we are restoring the header to have that horizontal datum. And
Thank you. Commissioners, oh, go ahead.
I
And
just wanted-
any other questions, commissioners? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Chen, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Wilder, would you like to start this discussion?
This one working? Timing. Thanks to the applicant for terms of
I'm sorry, Stephen, we're not picking you up.
oh, can you hear me? Hear me? Is it? This one work?
How about this one? Yeah.
I see. Hello? Okay, so, excuse me. What was I saying? So in terms of the stoop, I understand the direction that the applicant decided to go. I think, Commissioner Ginsburg made an interesting, point. Um, First, I don't necessarily think the pipe handrail design is appropriate even for this design. But I also know that the design needs to be altered and maybe it could look appropriate if those proportions and size of the railing were adjusted. It just feels like it's way too much space between there, and I think the pipe railing is not a good style for that look, particular with so much space between the actual stucco and the metal. You know, in terms of the there. Um, and then in terms of the rooftop, um, I think I think I can find it appropriate. It does feel like the metal, the screening, sorry, the mechanical screening, I think is too tall. It has it at 8 feet. So I don't know if she also mentioned dunnage, but I think if this is new, couldn't there be a way that this can be done without the dunnage to reduce? Because that could add as much as 3 feet in a sense. And I think if you're putting it on something that's being constructed anyway, there's a way that you can save a few feet without having the dunnage and can reduce the overall height of the roof structure with the screening at least. And then the garage opening, I think the restoring um, what is it? Um, the band above the garage to match what's on the other buildings as well as what was originally there. I can see no issue with that, but I think I don't think you need to widen the garage doors to do that at the same time. And I think the 8 foot two is enough for most vehicles. But yeah, I would keep the door width the same. Just want to add one note about that garage door. I think what we've established is that the staff books that originally this was 2 punched openings that align with the above. That would also then brickwork that they want to remove some of is not original. It may be old, it was done long ago and looked very nice and had been well done, but it's not the original opening that
influences anyone's thoughts about this.
I'll wait to see what the rest of the commissioners think.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu? Oh,
Hello? Right, I'll try to be quick. The rooftop addition seems minimally visible from the front street. Um, garage door, and that was why I was asking Corey, is because if the original was the two windows, I think the applicant could have strategy and said that to have the opening go from window to window, it already lines on the right side. It obviously we filled in. Could argue that you're going back to the historic opening, and putting the garage door in the wider opening. I do think that the garage door wood finish feels a little too bright. I would choose a finish that tones it down more. I think it's the stoop rail just seems a little bit, the first image clearly showed hefty banister on either side. You can really see a lot of those historic conditions. As stone, I think that's possible, but I think it needs to be looked at with staffing, staff on the actual profile. If we're choosing to do it in cast stone, maybe at that point it is longer this open rail look, but has the massive feel of these. All handrail seems insignificant.
Stephen, does that mean that you're okay with the widening of the garage?
Yeah, as I said, I would accept a different strategy here instead of trying to say you're widening the older version, but to say you're bringing it back to its historic opening and making it a garage door. At least then I feel like it has some relationship to the facade
Okay.
elements. But I do feel like I just think that it makes more rational sense to me as a strategy there, because if that was the case, then garage door, at least you can. I don't think that brick was. Work with dimensions that are brick modules, because widening the 10-inch doesn't give you a brick module, so there's something strange there.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Mahan?
Regards to the balusters, I think the current proposal is, and the applicant should pick a strategy. It should have wrought iron or entirely, I think a brownstone cast in as it stands. Both and strategy, I think, doesn't work. Articulation of the metal baluster on top doesn't relate well to the garage door. I'm fine with widening. Obviously, that it's not to do so, but in those cases, store decorative. And lost. I understand commission logic for widening above. That would be great. The applicant can't do that. It's you have darker.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
Rational and logical to,
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree with my fellow commissioners, darker color on the garage doors, ideally aligning with the window edges above. I think the more Italianate railing above the masonry is the way to go with the railing and not just a straight pipe rail, which will also solve your code issues. And then if you can lower the mechanical screening, I realize it's a new zoning requirement, requires lowering the mechanical equipment, that would be good. All of this can be worked with staff to resolve.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumbay?
This one up. All right. In general, yes, I'm in agreement with the fellow commissioners. I agree with the stoop. A decision needs to be made in which stone or a or more decorative iron work. Also, I'm in alignment with the garage door opening. Either I have no issue with aligning it with the I can't really tell between the drawing of if the rooftop is visible or not, but if we could just but I agree with the swing.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go as well. I generally agree with most of these comments. I think you can widen the garage door to align with the windows, and then a darker stain is probably more appropriate. I'm actually okay with the rooftop. I find that it's minimally visible as is. And in terms of the stoop, I kind of agree with the other commissioners, which doesn't necessarily help go one way or the other, but what do we do about?
I mean, I think what I've heard is, a preference to do either the heavy balustrade railing as seen in the tax photo, understanding it may have originally been cast iron, but cast stone would be acceptable as an alternative, or to go the route of more iron work, perhaps without the addition of the wall along the steps, that would result in a hybrid that still is not both of those are somewhat consistent with staff rules in any case, except I do think the commissioners do need to okay cast stone instead of cast iron. That option is chosen by the applicant. So working with staff, one of those two scenarios that would make it more firmly Italian vocabulary, even if not exactly what is on this one. There's a density and ornateness to ironwork as well. That's yes is less heavy, but I think could still meet the issues of the 4-inch requirements and again still. So there's comfort level with one of those two options.
Okay,
A direction. Because right now you sort of have a hybrid and one that introduces simple ironwork that's really not of this period. And, keeping in mind, that's what they have now. They could keep that. So I think they're trying to make this sort of an upgrade feature, but in doing so, you all express that you want it to be firmly, I think, within this. There's two options though.
Okay, and then in terms of the rooftop visibility, I mean, we had some that were okay, and then
You could ask the applicant to just work with staff and see if there are
Then-
any simple further reductions.
okay. And then I think there was a consensus that they could widen the garage to align.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I heard is that a preference to pull it all the way to the opening that would have been there originally. But if that's maybe not feasible due to structural considerations or otherwise, a more modest widening, so accepted. And then I think a darker or at least a neutral finish.
Are you okay with adding those items? As long,
Just, I think, add what I described.
yeah.
Otherwise,
As long as the mic works.
Edit and modify. Yeah, I'm not using my own microphone, so there's that. Excuse me. In the matter of LPC -26 -02329 35 West 83rd Street, Upper West Side, Central Park West Historic District, Central Park West Historic District. An Italianate style row house designed by Andrew Spence and built in 1870, 1874. Application is to modify an opening, alter the stoop, and construct a rooftop addition. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Upper West Side Park West Historic District. I note that the circa 1940 tax photo shows that at the time, the house featured a garage opening with multi-light glaze, hinge, paired garage doors, and a heavy cast iron railing and newel posts at the stoop. I recommend approvals with modifications, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features. That the proposed widening of the garage opening will only occur at plain masonry and the opening will remain symmetrical within the facade and height of the lintel above and will be adjusted to restore the continuity of the band course element with brownstone tinted stucco. That the proposed folding garage door will relate well with the existing altered facade. That the proposed rooftop addition, raised parapet, guardrails, and chimney will only be minimally visible from thoroughfares and limited views from oblique angles. That the rooftop addition will be set back from the front and rear facades, maintaining a sense of the house's original massing. At the rooftop addition, guardrails and chimney extensions will be simple in design and form, and that the standing seam metal cladding will be in keeping with typical materials and finishes at rooftop accretions found within the historic district, and that the work will not detract from special architectural and historic character of the Upper West Side Central Park Historic District. However, staff finds that the clear finish on the stained wood garage, I find that the clear finish on the stained wood garage door will call undue attention to the atypical presence of a garage on a row house in this streetscape and should be considered to be darkened, and that the mechanical screening at the rooftop addition should be minimized, that the proposed stoop, the applicant should design the stoop to go in either one of two directions, one being fully cast stone stoop, or one being a more ornate metal railing for the stoop. You can see anything.
Yeah.
That's in consultation with staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu, would you second that? Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, that's been approved with modifications. Please work with staff. Thank you. Let's move to the next item.
All right. Next and last item of the day, public hearing item number 8, LPC 26-08334, an application for an amendment. This is in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1381, Lot 56, 790 Madison Avenue, the Upper East Side Historic District. This is an apartment building built in 1960. And the application is to amend a commission-approved master plan governing the future installation of storefront infill at the first and second floors.
Hi, hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Palmo on the design. Christina Lana. And we're here to meet about 790 Madison Avenue. The commission has previously approved a master plan for this non-style building. And what we want to present to you today is the site. This is the existing master plan that was previously approved. High level, what we're proposing doing is changing the cladding around the lines of the storefront on the ground floor and the second floor, and updating signage. Here is our proposal, which is slightly modifying details of the approved design of the mullions and the storefront. We also want to provide a second option for the tenancy for the building and space on that's visible on the far left. The original master plan had that as one tenancy, and the current existing tenants are 3 separate tenants. So what we're proposing in this package as well is to maintain and keep the 3 separate tenants. The signage updates that we're proposing is to increase the height of the signage at each storefront to be 18 inches to match the regular signage requirements, and updating the pattern location for plaques and vinyl signage on the windows. Some existing site photos. So the current existing finish that's around the mullions on the ground floor and the second floor is mirror polished stainless steel. And that's the big change that you're going to see that we're proposing, is just to update that to that in stainless steel gold finish. That's it. Let me go back to the proposed elevations so we can open the floor to.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Mahan?
Modifying the northern bays, one that has arching.
Yeah, so those storefronts have been there for a very long time, even prior to the previous master plan approval. So they haven't been renovated since then, and that's why they're still showing in that state today.
What are you proposing?
We're proposing to streamline it, to keep it all consistent with the right portion of the building and continue that same design across the building.
Commissioner Mayhew, that's not, and just to point out with this master plan, that there's an existing master plan that already has this essentially the same design.
Yes.
And it's just not been utilized for those 3 storefront bays yet.
Yes.
And this applicant wishes to change the finish, and that would apply to these 3 storefronts in the future, as well as the ones that they want to switch now. And in addition to that, they're looking for the some updates to the signage as was stated. Questions, but the reason really that the commission is looking at this and staff didn't just make this change is about the finish. Because when the commission made the master plan approval, it wasn't just for the storefronts. It was also the recladding of the entire second floor to become part of sort of the storefront realm of the building. And, you know, particular materials were reviewed and approved. That's not to say if this gold finish hadn't been proposed at the time that it would have been approved, but it wasn't. So we're kind of thinking about this a little bit more holistically, even though it's a no style building.
Sounds like you're proposing to do some work now. So which part of that?
Yes, so the work that we're proposing to do in the near future is both this elevation, which you can see here, and the prior Marc Jacobs or Michael Kors, sorry, store, which is the 4 bays on the right that you can see here. On both ground floor and second floor.
Nice. And how was the, I have some questions about the sign. How was the mention of 18 inches, you mentioned something about requiring then signage that's rendered. So
Yeah, so the 18-inch limitation would include if it's multi-lines, it has to be 8 foot maximum. It's the limitation.
And I'm sorry, but what was the previous height?
The previous height was 1 foot.
Okay. Yeah.
and are you certain in the scenario where all of these could theoretically at the same time that
Yes. Yeah. We've done the calculations. They're still under the street frontage.
Any other questions? Commissioner Chu?
Just to clarify, what is the maximum?
18 inches in height.
I'm sorry.
Oh. Yeah, here's the overall of both sides of the building. Correct.
I do have another question is,
Yes,
actually what?
we're simplifying the mullion profile to kind of flat over what's existing.
For clad existing.
I think there's some spaces where we may have to replace in its entirety due to exit. But the bottom left detail, so we're holding the same width of the mullion and same turn. We're just simplifying the existing detail.
So if this is for a particular tenant, does that mean that when the tenant leaves, you would potentially go back to the original finish, or?
No, this would be the new master plan in place for the building facade in its entirety.
Oh.
Both floors.
Okay, so then other tenants, when they come in, will also have the gold, so that we'll
Yes.
have a unified look eventually.
Yes, so the landlord is in agreement with this finish update as well, and feels like it kind of elevates and takes us from the 90s to something a little more traditional, really, and timeless.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, let's go ahead and noting that there's nobody in this room to speak on this item, let me turn it over to Elizabeth Lee to see if we have any remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelists, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Zainab Turan.
Hello again, Vice Chair Master and Commissioners. Friends Preservation, my name is Zainab Turan, speaking on behalf of Friends of the Upper East Side. Our Preservation Committee recognizes that Madison Avenue must remain flexible and evolve to meet the changing needs and aesthetic preferences of new retailers. However, we believe that master plans exist to ensure the long-term preservation and coherence of the streetscape. We encourage the tenant to explore alternative creative solutions for expressing the specific brand's gold identity without requiring changes to the approved window master plan. We also believe the proposed brand typeface at the main entrance could be reduced in size, and we don't support any placement of branding on the second floor windows. On the 67th Street facade, we find the combination of the gold metal bars located immediately behind the storefront glazing on the second floor and the existing black horizontal louvers at the adjacent bay creates an unnecessary visual conflict that should be reconsidered. Finally, we request the specifications for the proposed vertical storefront lighting and ask whether the system will be dimmed during nighttime hours if it still is part of the application. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. The next speaker will be Eugene M.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Eugene Mershinchenko. I'm actually representing Zebra Architects who are working with one of the tenants in the space. I had a question for the left-hand side facade master plan. There's a proposed recess to the doors of those 3 smaller tenants. That doesn't seem to comply with ADA clearances for the door as well. So is that going to be forced upon the tenants to comply?
No, we'll update the plans to have the push and pull clearances with the recess.
And then I guess as the tenants come in,
Can I just jump in? This is public testimony, not a tenant landlord, because
okay.
focus, if you have anything to say about the proposal, you can say it, but
No, that's it. I guess that's my only comment. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, a note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 8 recommends approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to any of the comments?
Sure. So I think this isn't just in relation to the tenant that is going in this new space, but the proposal for the finished change is a partnership with the landlord, and they feel like it helps create a timeless aesthetic, whereas the mirror polished stainless steel wasn't a very historic finish. And that's why they feel like this is in better alignment with the beautiful stone and the cornice that exists now on site. As far as the lighting, it is dimmable. I think the tenant would even be, like it can be off at night. This was part of the approval. It's fully, recessed and concealed, not visible from the storefront bays or from the glazing on the outside. Regarding the vinyl signage on the second story, that's something that was an existing condition on the proposed, or sorry, the existing master plan and has been that way for a while. And there was something about the louver. So when that louver needs to be replaced, or sorry, I don't know page that. The right bay has the louver over the exit door. When that needs to be replaced or repaired, that will be in the same finish. The champagne. This louver, there's only. Yes. It's black right now. Yes, yeah. If black is fine as well, but we're definitely changing the mullion at a minimum.
Okay.
Did I answer all of the questions? The ADA one, we will update to include the pull clearance requirement.
Yeah, Commissioner Chu has a question.
Now, how do you do the plan? It was an interesting question to raise. How would you do that?
So the doors are inset right now. We just need to leave the pull clearance on the pull side of the door. So we'll slide over. Yeah.
How do you do that? You're gonna have to push that back like 18 inches, 20 inches over.
Yeah, this whole part of the storefront would slide over the required, and we'll make sure that the door is, the 36 inches and all the way to the left. Yeah, it'll be here.
A lot less. Showing.
Okay. Are there any other questions, commissioners? Okay, so let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Wilder, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumbe, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner
you.
Ginsburg, would you like to start this discussion?
Okay. In general, I find this fine. I am troubled by the fact that the elevations as shown now don't comply with accessibility code. And so I'll be interested what my fellow commissioners say, but it may be better for them to come back when they have worked it out so we can look at what actually will be built. I don't know what others feel.
Well, I do think this is a pretty typical application for storefronts in a district with guidelines that are quite flexible for buildings of this sort of type. I think we all, kind of listening to the questions here, anticipate what that means is basically a side light,
Okay, so
otherwise similar. But I just wanted to point out too, the applicants did present an option for this group in case in the future a single tenant were to take over. They wouldn't have doors in every bay anyway.
Right.
So in many ways, it's very consistent with master plans we will approve all.
okay, thank you. Then I can find this appropriate to approve.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, it's just, I'd like to hear the why of the commissioners. Obviously, I have a personal bias for the other, but
Thank you. Commissioner Mahan?
I would be changed to the. I think the increase in the size of the signage from 1 foot to 18 inches. Potential for much black or gray.
Commissioner Mahan, so what are you proposing in terms of the size of the letter?
Oh, that'd be small. 1 foot would be fine. That's already there. issue for them. But the way this is drawn, that in aggregate would be.
Yeah, I'll just note a little bit about the signage. So
Sure.
I believe for the Madison Avenue storefront signage, there is an allowance for up to 18 inches for lettering. It's more or less as of right. I'm not sure what it says about when there's more than one line of lettering. Our staff rules outside of Madison Avenue allow for basically what this applicant's asking for, which is either 18 inches maximum for a single line, or if it's 2 lines, it still has to fit within that 18-inch maximum. So this really is consistent with our rules and with the guidelines for
All
this
right.
district.
Thank you for the clarification, and I'll follow the
The one
staff rules for the
comment
signage. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu?
Yeah, following the last discussion, because I have large signage, back in typology, but the name. That they're separate retail. And you know, again, we're looking at it as the master plan, so. Signage, I'm not gonna dispute what we say is the maximum signage. Where that dimension is placed. Height at 8. My comment about the gold is I'm okay with the accent. I think the gold is there to give you an accent. I don't think you want. About the storefront, I guess applicant says they're gonna keep it at it. Have to just look at it. If there's one thing that I thought, you know, on this building. High-end retail. That's the new alignment.
Thank you. Commissioner Walder?
Yeah, the code on, it's just whatever. My concern that we kind of ended the discussion. Also, the solution could potentially change this entire design. Or that has every door, and then how does that work with the rest of it? Necessarily how we speak. Appropriate, but
Thank you. Commissioner Kumbe?
But that's the.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to point out that another solution for the ADA would be a automatic door opener, at which point they wouldn't have that problem. They'd have to locate the button for the opener, but that is another way, would be the other solution to allow for this plan to occur. Right. Yeah. But I understand that this is giving guidelines to the staff and then it gets reviewed by the staff, correct, Corey?
Yes, and I assure you, we really do look at these all the time. Applicants, many owners have master plans in the time to time, and generally resolve everything about things we've seen.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, so Commissioner Ginsburg, would you like to read the motion? I think the only comment that we need to include is the black louvers.
Yep.
Yeah, and then work with staff.
With LPC 2608-334, 790 Madison Avenue, Upper East Side Historic District, an apartment building built in 1960. Application is to amend Commission's approved master plan governing the future installation of storefront infill at the first and second floors. I note that the building is not one for which the Upper East Side Historic District was designated. I further note that the Commission approved the enlargement of window openings at the second floor for display windows in 2001 and the recladding of the building's first and second floor in 2011, with an establishment of a master plan for uniform storefront changes at the two-story base. I finally note that the Madison Avenue has long been a premier shopping street, both for residents and visitors, and the retail activity is reflected in the contemporary architecture of the storefronts along the avenue. I recommend approval with modifications, noting that the change from polished stainless steel to gold finished metal framing at the select storefronts at the first two stories of the building will be compatible with the white finish of the stone cladding and off-white finish of the brick cladding at the floors above. That the gold finish will be in keeping with the variety of storefront finishes throughout the Madison Avenue streetscape, which is notable for contemporary high-end retail. However, this change in color does not include the second floor louvers. That the proposed signage consists of 18-inch tall pin-mounted letters centered above the storefront entrance on the Madison Avenue facade and centered above the two easternmost storefront bays on the 67th Street facade. 12-inch by 12-inch metal plaque at the piers flanking storefront entrances and one at the corner, and vinyl decals at the display windows and entry doors blazing will not overwhelm the building and will be consistent with signage along Madison Avenue. That the proposed changes to the master plan will maintain a uniform standard for all storefronts and display windows and signage at the first and second floors. That the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the Madison Avenue streetscape. However, working with staff, the louvers at the second floor should not be gold and should be black or other color that does not call attention to itself.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chen, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Madison?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
That's been approved. Please continue to work with staff. Thank you. Okay. So that concludes our public hearing and public meeting for May 19th, 2026. Thank you all for your participation, and we will see you on Tuesday, June 2nd for our next public hearing.